Real Broker recently acquired REMAX. And I think the biggest story here is not the price tag. It's what this deal says about where the industry is going. So I want to give my honest take. No hype, no fear, just what I actually think agents should be paying attention to. First, let me say this. Real made a bold move, and I respect it. $880 million to acquire one of the most recognized brands in all of real estate is not a small decision. I mean, come on, everyone recognizes the legacy red, white, and blue balloon logo of REMAX that has been around since the 1970s. But I do think the bigger story is getting lost in all the noise. To me, the bigger story is this. Cloud-based brokerage is no longer a fringe idea. It really hasn't been in recent years, especially because of COVID, where so much went virtual practically overnight. But this just goes to show the solidification of cloud-based brokerages as the future model for real estate. When Glenn Sanford, who is the founder of eXp Realty, came out with the first ever cloud-based brokerage model in 2009, it was revolutionary and people thought it was insane. They couldn't believe that you could just give up a brick and mortar office and that you could actually successfully do everything digitally. But eXp was proof of this in the market. And now this very model has become the official future of the industry. When a legacy brand like REMAX ends up looking for its next chapter and future inside a cloud-based brokerage model, I think that tells you everything you need to know about where real estate is going. Now, here's where it gets interesting. Real was founded in 2014, and over the next decade plus, they built to roughly 31,000 agents. This is meaningful growth, no question. But when you compare that to eXp, I think it gives important context. eXp launched in 2009 and grew to 85,000 agents in roughly the same general window, so almost 3 times as many agents. eXp did this almost entirely through a model that agents believed in enough to spread the word and tell other agents. This was organic growth, not through acquisition. Now, I'm not saying that there's necessarily anything wrong with acquisition or even that eXp will never acquire another real estate company. Who knows? But the point is, this is a very different story of growth. Real has paid a massive amount of money to close their agent gap overnight. Real reported just over 33,000 agents as of March 2026. But REMAX has close to 149,000 agents. So combined, the new company will be about 182,000 agents. This will make it the second largest brokerage in the country, only trumped by Compass, which I'll come back to in just a minute. By the way, if you're new here, I should introduce myself. My name is Sarah Newman. I'm a realtor and team leader here in Charleston, South Carolina. I'm one of the top few hundred agents in my city and an icon agent at eXp Realty. My mission on this channel is to help you create a sustainable and enjoyable real estate business, all without burning out. Now, like I said, I'm with eXp, so I really want to do my best to be fair and balanced here. The last few years have been really hard for every brokerage in this country. The market contracted after the COVID heyday. Interest rates crushed transaction volume. Agent counts dropped across the board. This wasn't just a real problem or an eXp problem. This was a market-wide problem, and every company had to decide how they were going to respond to it. Some companies chose to buy growth since organic growth became harder. This is not shocking, this is not immoral, this is just a strategy. But every strategy comes with consequences. And this is the part that I think agents really need to pay attention to. Because debt itself is not automatically bad. Debt could absolutely be a smart tool when the leadership has a clear vision and knows exactly where they are taking the business. But the real question is, what does this debt require the company to do in order to make the model work? Because eventually pressure has to go somewhere. And when a publicly traded company is carrying acquisition debt across 2 very different models, you have an owned brokerage model like Real on one side and a franchise network like REMAX on the other side, this creates real complexity. These are not small differences. Compass is another recent example. Compass acquired Anywhere Real Estate earlier this year, whose brands include Coldwell Banker Realty, Century 21, Sotheby's International, ERA, and Corcoran. These are also historic brands, and altogether they make up 340,000 agents, making it by far the largest real estate brokerage in the United States and globally. When this deal closed on January 9th, you'll see that very quickly the public conversation shifted to cost synergies and integration. Compass first raised its year one synergy target to $250 million, and then after quarter one, raised it again to $300 million with a longer term target of $500 million over 3 years. Now, this doesn't make the acquisition wrong, but it shows how fast the story moves from a growth story to an integration story. When a company is under that kind of pressure, agents need to understand that decisions don't stay abstract for long. There is a lot to integrate. You're talking about different economics, different company cultures, different incentives, different leadership structures, different tools and processes, and thousands of broker owners across thousands of offices who ultimately still have some choices of their own. This is a lot of complexity. And historically, when there's that much pressure inside a model, you're going to feel it somewhere. Everything won't be smooth. And maybe it will take time. Maybe things will feel smooth for a while as the companies stay more independent at first, but there could be more bumps in the road later as they start to integrate further. Eventually, it's likely going to show up in the form of cost pressure, support pressure, culture shifts, compensation changes, recruiting changes, or strategic decisions that may or may not be made with the frontline agent in mind. Ultimately, we're the ones doing all the work, making all the money for these big companies. And yet sometimes we're the ones who end up suffering because of these big changes. Now, let me be real with you, and not to play on words, I mean real as in honest, not real, the real estate company. Because EXP is not perfect either, of course. Perfection is an illusion. EXP had growth challenges when it grew exponentially fast years back, and there were some growing pains. In the last couple of years, we've introduced Revenue Share 2.0, which is amazing and a huge upgrade. But like any new program, it can create confusion. So I'm not going to pretend like it doesn't. But when I step back and look at the foundation, I still think EXP is sitting in a very strong position. And here's why. We did not need to acquire a legacy real estate brand in order to become one of the largest brokerages in the country. We did not need to stack acquisition on top of acquisition in order to build scale. We built through one model, one structure, one entity. And to me, that matters because there is no franchise layer sitting in between the company and the agent. There is no broker owner middle layer taking a cut between you and the opportunity. And the agents inside the model are not just participants. They are shareholders. They can actually own a piece of what they are helping to build. And that is not a small thing. Something else that doesn't get highlighted enough is that as of its latest annual filing, EXP reported no long-term debt on its balance sheet. In a moment where so much of the industry is using acquisitions to buy scale, I think this matters a lot and a lot more than people give credit to. When a company is not carrying long-term acquisition debt, it has more flexibility, more room to invest, more room to stay aligned with its values and not cave to financial pressure. And overall, just less pressure to force a complicated integration to pay off on a specific timeline. And whether EXP makes acquisitions in the future or not, the core foundation is still the same: agent-centric, cloud-based, and structurally aligned. This matters a lot right now, especially when so much of the industry is trying to figure out how to make 2 or 3 or more very different company cultures and models somehow operate as one. So what does this mean for you if you're sitting in a REMAX office today? Well, I think it means a few things. First, your broker owner is probably faced with a lot of questions right now that they honestly may not be able to answer yet. Second, it means the model that you signed up for is changing, whether you asked for that change or not. And third, I think it means that this is a very good time to lift your head up and ask the question, not just where am I right now, but where is all of this going and what do I want? Because you want to make sure that you're hedged for future opportunities future growth and that you're in the right place to continue to build your business sustainably for the long haul. And it might be to stay exactly where you are. But don't underestimate where this industry is headed and which models have the most opportunity for you right now that is going to serve you, your clients, your family, and your business for the long haul. To me, one of the clearest takeaways from this deal is that the companies who do not already have a clear business model are trying to buy one, and the companies that already built the model are in a prime position for the future. I know which side of this I would personally rather be on. Ultimately, I do want to say that no matter what brokerage you are with, remember that you are the brand, not your brokerage. Yes, I do believe that brokerage is important, but at the end of the day, you are ultimately responsible for your real estate results. And it just feels like this has never been more true than it is right now with so much changing landscape. So wherever you land, make sure that you are surrounded by people who are growth-minded, collaborative, and moving towards a shared vision. While yes, I have personally built my real estate career through hard work and dedication, but one of the things that gets me through the really hard days that we all experience sometimes as real estate agents is the collaboration that I've built at my company. There is shared knowledge and resources. I'm surrounded by uplifting, positive people, and I'm building with others who are also building in the same direction. This kind of environment changes what feels possible. So overall, my take on this REMAX Real acquisition is that I respect the boldness of the move. I understand why it happened, and I think it says something very clear about the direction of this industry. Cloud-based power is here to stay. The old model is under pressure. An agent should be paying very close attention to which companies are integrating complexity and which companies were built for this future from the very beginning. If you're an agent at REMAX Real, EXP, Compass, or literally anywhere, I genuinely love to hear what you're seeing and hearing on the ground. Because I think a lot of agents have questions right now, and they deserve a straight conversation about what this actually means for them. So leave a comment below to share your thoughts, questions, and opinions, and I look forward to hearing from you. Thank you so much for watching this video, and I'll see you in the next one.